Let's start with the prayers. Om Sada
Shive Samarim
Shankaracharya
Asmadacharya Guru Parampara Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamalini Vidyarambam Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada
Om
Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahavinkara Tejasvinavadhinastu Vidyavahai Om Shanti 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 Vasudevayam Jnanapradam Gurum Mumuksham Hitarthaya Tattva
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Okay. So we had started the topic of karma in the last class, and we'll continue with that today. Okay. So we discussed some of the benefits of jnanam. If the question comes, why should I do this study? What is the benefit of Atma Jnanam? Why should I study this Upanishadic knowledge? Then we had discussed that the 5 types of benefits, right? The 5 benefits of moksha. And those 5 collectively, it is called as Jivan Muktihi. Okay, so those 5 benefits, all those things we saw in the last class, Jignasa Nivritti, Karpanya Nivritti, Vidyananda Praptihi, all those things, collectively we call it as Jivan Muktihi. That means the benefits while still alive, that means while still the body is available, the benefits that you can experience. Now, is there something more? There is something more, which is Videha Muktihi, which is the benefit upon leaving the body. Upon the dropping of this body, what benefit is there? And in the last class, we said Nikila Karma Bandha Vinirmuktaha. That means the freedom from all the karmas, from the whole bunch of karmas, what freedom we get upon this body dropping, that is called as Videha Muktihi. Okay, and today we will be seeing more about these karmas and their classification and how to understand the law of karma. Now, last class, we also discussed the 2 types of karma phalam, the visible result, which is called as drishta phalam, and the invisible result, which is called as adrishta phalam. So the visible result is whatever you see. So when you do an action, there is a consequence of that action, and that visible consequence is called as drishta phalam. And then there is an invisible result also. And what is this invisible result determined by?
Intention.
The intent.
The intention with which the action is done, the motive behind the action. If the motive is to help somebody or to help, then it becomes punyam. The adrishta phalam is punyam. And if the motive is to harm other people, then the adrishta phalam is papam. And what are punyam and papam? Now, generally, we discussed that they are classified as good deeds, bad deeds, merits or demerits, these kind of classification. But here we are saying that it is not just merits or demerits, it is the seeds of future pleasure, of future pain. Okay, so we don't use the words good or bad. We don't use words like good deeds, bad deeds. Why? Because good and bad is very subjective. What is good for me might be bad for somebody else. What I call a good deed might not necessarily be a good deed for somebody else. So when we say good and bad, it is very vague, it is very confusing, and it is not clear at all about what is good, what is bad, because there is no objective meaning for these words. So instead, we use the words hurt or help. That is very clear. The intention which I set out with, which could be to help or to hurt somebody, which is very clear. There is no confusion in that. There is no abstractness when we say hurt or help. Another pair of words that we use is pleasure and pain. There is no confusion about pleasure and pain also. It is very clear. It is not like good or bad, where it is confusing what is good, what is bad. Okay, so we use the words pleasure and pain. Pleasure and pain is common for everybody based on experience. We have all experienced pleasure, we have all experienced pain also. And so it is a very subjective classification. So the punyam and papam is determined based on intention, which can be to help or hurt. And what results is punyam, papam, the adrishta phalam, which is the seed of future pleasure or future pain. Okay, so this is the classification adrishta phalam. And we saw this adrishta punyam sukham dadati, adrishta papam dukkham dadati. Dadati means to give. Sukham is pleasure. Dukkham is pain. So adrishta punyam, the invisible punyam, will give pleasure, and adrishta papam will give pain. Okay, so it sets up, or it converts later into pleasurable situations or painful situations. Okay, till here we saw in the last class, and now let us continue with the text. We can read this now. Karmani kati vidhani santi ti chet. Agami sanchita prarabdha bhedena. Trividhani santi. Okay. So here the author is asking, he is himself raising the question, if it is asked. So when the word iti chet comes, it means if it is asked. If it is asked, karmani kati vidhani, how many types of karma are there? Vidhani means types, kati vidhani means how many. So karmani kati vidhani means how many types of karma. Santi means is, the grammar particle is. So how many types of karma are there if it is asked? Then he gives the answer. There are three types. Trividhani. Three types. Trividhani. Three types of karma are there, which are agami, sanchita, and prarabdha. Agami is one type. The word breaks over here. Sanchita is one more type, and prarabdha is another type. So bhedena, classified. So it is classified into three: agami, sanchita, and prarabdha. And now we will see what is each type. Types of karma phalam, three types as we discussed: sanchita, prarabdha, and agami. So we'll start with sanchita. Now sanchita is the total karma that has been accumulated from all the lifetimes, all the different actions we have done across multiple lifetimes. So I'm sure you're all familiar already that this is not the first lifetime for us, right? This is not the first lifetime that this jiva has had. It has had countless number of lives before this. And in all of those lives, it has done some karma, some actions. And all of that has resulted in some karma phalam. And some of that, some of it is exhausted over there, but a good chunk of it is still stored, right? And that stored karma is called as sanchita karma. So you can imagine it like a big reservoir of all the previous karmas that has ever been done. Then the second type is called as prarabdha karma. Now, out of this huge reservoir of sanchita karma, a small portion is taken and given for exhausting in this life. So what we call prarabdha karma is all the situations that have come up in this life without me working for it or without me asking for it. For example, the kind of parents you have, or the place where you are born, the kind of family you are born, the kind of country you are born into, the kind of body you are born with, right? Whether it is a male body, whether it is a female body, whether it is a healthy body, whether it is not so healthy, all these different things, we didn't ask for it, right? We don't select our parents. So all these things that come without us having asked for, that is called as prarabdha karma. It is the karma allocated for exhausting for this lifetime. And where has it come from? From the sanchita bag. So a small portion of sanchita is taken and allocated for this life. And there is a third type of karma called agami karma, which is the fresh karma that I generate every moment. So every action that I do, it has a karma phalam, it has a consequence. And that is a fresh consequence that is newly generated, that comes up now when I do the action, and now it has come up. And that freshly generated karma is called as agami karma. Now, what happens to this agami karma? Some portion of it joins the prarabdha group. That means it gets exhausted in this life itself. And there is a portion of it that gets carried over, that, goes on, and that joins the sanchita group. So some portion of agami is exhausted in this life through prarabdha, and some portion joins the sanchita group. So this is what happens to agami. Now, to help you understand this, there's an example. So imagine you have a bank account, and in that bank account, you have a savings account. So savings is your lifetime earnings, right? Everything that you have earned in life, and you have put it in one place. It is a big deposit, let us say. It is there, savings in the bank. Now, suppose you take a small portion of that for your spending, daily spending. So that is the money that you have in your wallet. So the big deposit in the bank is like sanchita, and the small money that you have kept in your wallet for your expense, that is called as prarabdha. And that's not all, right? You are working every day, you're getting a salary, you're having an income. That income is the agami karma. And what do you do with agami? What do you do with the income money, your salary money? Some of it you spend, and some of it you put into savings again, right? So this is the relationship between these three: sanchita, prarabdha, and agami. Yes, now we can stop for questions. Yes, Rajika ji.
Om, you said we cannot choose our parents, but what I get to understand is that the soul chooses the parents and then is born, is conceptualized and then born, no? Then am I wrong there?
Which is soul first? I'm going to start there.
So when the person dies, the jiva that is liberated is again like searching for where to get connected, and that's how it then finds parents and is reborn.
I think you have been reading books or listening to talks by other, maybe other teachers or other spiritual schools, probably, because we don't use the word soul. So first you have to start from there. What travels after death of the body? It is the jiva, right? You can't say jiva is liberated. Jiva travels. Okay, so first point, jiva travels. Second point, you said jiva searches. There is no searching by the jiva. The next bunch of prarabdha is already allocated by karma phaladata, which is Ishvara. So it is already allocated. It now just has to wait for it to fructify. We don't know when that will happen. It might take few years or few lifetimes or even few srishtis, few cycles of creation. We don't know when it will happen, but it will happen. But the allocation has already been done by karma phala data. So when you say, does the jiva select the parents? You don't select in this life. It is a result of all your actions from previous lives. So in a way, yes, the selection happens by the jiva based on the previous lifetime actions, but not selected in this life.
So when it becomes a jiva, then it selects.
When it becomes a jiva means what?
After you release from this body.
After the jiva goes from this body, the prarabdha is already allocated. It takes up the next body. But whatever actions you have done in this lifetime, that will determine the next kind of life.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, next.
You just said that what kind of actions it has done in this life. Actually, I think it should be the product is determined by the karma phala data. On your what he determines is the product that you need to exhaust from several lifetimes. So you could be bearing the phalam of some previous lifetime which you don't even I mean you can't even connect.
It is, see, when you do actions, a lot of actions are there, a lot of karma phalams have been generated and they are stored. Now, what is allocated to the next life is determined by karma phala data. But one thing is for sure, that it is your own actions allocated back to you. I mean, the consequence of your own actions is allocated back to you. Okay, so it is not that Ishvara decides what you get or some random thing happens. It is from your own bunch of karmas. What is allocated is from your own bunch.
So I mean, the karma phala data might be taking some thing for my this prarabdha from my sanchit karma, where the punyam or papa may have accrued to me from several lifetimes, or maybe even in a different srishti.
Yes.
And I'm accruing the phalam now.
Yes. In the same way, what you do in this life, along with, of course, the sum of the previous lives, determines the next life. It is not just this life that is being affected. Your actions you do now affects the next life also. We'll see that. We'll see that in detail shortly. Yes, Lata.
Om Medaji. So I'm a little confused regarding Prarabdha Karma and Agami Karma. So Prarabdha is something which we are doing in the current life, right? So basically any kind of actions which are good or bad will get negated in this life itself. And Agami is for future, isn't it?
No, prarabdha is what has come in this life. So every situation that you face in life is a result of prarabdha karma. Some of the situations are pleasurable, some of the situations are not so pleasurable, some are favorable, some are not favorable, right? But all of that, where did it come from? Who decides which situation has to come before you in this life? That is decided by your prarabdha karma, which is the allocated karma for this life. Now, then there is agami karma, which you are generating now. Like everything you do right now, it has a consequence, as we discussed, right? So everything that you do will have a consequence, and that consequence may manifest very immediately, or it may take some more time. We don't know, we can't determine that, but some of it will happen, will fructify immediately. And some may take a little bit more time, but it may happen in this life itself. And some may get carried over to the next life. But it is based on what you have done now.
Okay, Prarabdha could be from previous birth, but Agami is in this birth itself. And
What you are generating now, the freshly generated is Agami. Prarabdha is of course from previous births, but it is just allocated to this birth for exhaustion. which means that the
Got it.
only way to exhaust your prarabdha is by experiencing. There is no choice about it. So that situation which has been determined, it will come before you at some point.
Oh, okay. So basically when people say, oh, my karma, so I have to go through this, it's nothing but prarabdha.
Yes, it is prarabdha.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Yes, Indira?
Hi, Medha. Right. So, how did any jiva create that sanchita? I know it's a linear thinking. I mean, you will tell me like the circle and don't look at it a linear form. But otherwise, first of all, like how do I have that sanchita? Where is it from? And two questions. I heard Raviji saying that animals only exhaust prarabdha. So they don't create agami, right? Animals.
Yes.
It's only us we create. So um,
Okay.
so how will they get a favorable conditions in the future? Is it only the punyam from sanchita that they might get a human birth?
Yes. So first of all, how Sanchita came, there's no answer to that. You already mentioned. It is a cyclical creation or a circular creation, right? So we cannot say what is the starting point. It is the same as good as asking when did the jiva start? When did Sukshma Shariram start? When did creation itself start? There is no correct answer to a wrong question, unfortunately. Okay, so this is an invalid question because it is a circular creation, the way we see it. It is eternally there. It is eternally happening. For eternity, there is no starting point and there is no ending point. The moment you put a starting point, it ceases to be eternity. It is not eternity anymore. It is just a linear thing. So like you have a circle, and if you ask where is the starting point of this circle, it is an invalid question. It can never have an answer, right? So this we have to understand that this question, how did Sanchita start? Where did it begin? It is as good as asking where did creation itself start? And for that, there is no answer. So this is the cyclical nature of creation. Second, about the animals. Yes, you're right that animals do not generate agami karma. They only exhaust prarabdha karma. And this prarabdha comes from the Sanchita lot. So from Sanchita, a portion is selected and given for that life of that animal, and it will only exhaust that prarabdha. And if you've seen, animals also sometimes have very good lives and some of them have very bad lives, right? So you see some dogs, they are born on the road and they don't have food, they don't have anything, they're so skinny, unhealthy. And then you see there are dogs that these celebrities have. They have their own bedrooms, they have their own chefs, they eat imported food. So even dogs can have good life or bad life. But it is only exhausting prarabdha, which may be good, as in favorable, or it may be unfavorable. But they will not generate fresh karma. They don't have agami. Why don't they have agami?
They don't have free will.
They don't
Free
have
will.
They don't have free will. So to generate karma phalam, as I mentioned, intention is very necessary. And for intention, you require free will. An action has to be deliberately done with a particular intention in mind for it to generate karma phalam. And that is why only human beings can generate agami karma. And that to human beings, not babies, because babies also don't have free will. It is not yet developed. So for the first few years, there is no agami karma, even for the babies. But as the intellect develops and as the babies become a little more mature, they start thinking. Small children start thinking and they act with intention, right? So once that intention starts, along with that, agami karma starts. So this agami karma is generated only along with intention. And as for Sanchita, if you're asking, okay, then many animal births may come. What about Sanchita? All these things. Sanchita is a very big lot. It's very huge. Okay, so any number of lifetimes, we cannot exhaust Sanchita like that. So you may think, okay, I will have 100,000 animal births, and by then Sanchita will get exhausted and I'll be liberated. No, it doesn't work because Sanchita is too huge to exhaust like that. It doesn't happen that way. Okay?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
I just want to ask a question.
You can raise the hand. I think first, Shokji, you have raised the
Yeah.
hand.
Okay. So my understanding after listening to all this is that whatever I do is out of my whatever I do during the course of the day, I am generating agami karma. Now, I would want to say that, for example, I went out to look for a customer and I meet some person. That person is good, not good, favorable, not favorable, is a part of my prarabdha karma. And when the way I deal with him based on my knowledge and understanding, I would be creating agami karma with him or with that person.
Yes.
So every situation whichever I bump into is not necessarily I intended to go for that, but in my search for or quest for whatever I am pursuing, I will meet different situations, encounter different people. All those things are part of the agami karma. They could be favorable, they may not be favorable.
Part of
Is that right?
prarabdha.
Sorry, part of prarabdha.
Yes. Yes, part of prarabdha, and how you choose to handle that situation is your agami.
Correct. So
Yes.
this is how we differentiate how somebody with the same kind of effort generates different kinds of results now, apparently, and somebody else generates something else because it is kind of combination of prarabdha and agami both.
Correct. It is always a combination of prarabdha and agami. And in fact, this is the answer to the question that people ask, is life free will or fate? The free will versus fate debate that is very famous. You know, a lot of people keep fighting about it. Oh no, life is all about free will. And some people say life is only fate. No, it is a mixture of both.
But the fate is generated from the free will.
Yes,
So
fate is
my
generated
present
from
karmas,
previous free will.
it may be from previous, but whatever I do today, not necessarily I would get the result right away. It may take its own time. Some
Yes,
things
it may take
some things
time.
result immediately, and some things take their own time to fructify.
Yes.
So therefore, whatever I generate is also out of my present karma only. Nobody gave it to me. It's my generation.
Yes, everything is finally, it ties back to you, either your present action or a previous past action. But finally, it is your action alone. It
Yes,
has
so if
not come
someone
from
says you have a
anyone
good
else.
look, you had a good luck, or you have good faith, etc., they appear to be good luck to somebody now, but they were actually generated for me at some other time.
Yes, correct.
Right.
Yes.
So therefore, we cannot remain as a fatalist, but we need to be working and generate punyam for us and wait for its results.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Rinki?
Om Medhaji. So, like you said, Sanchita Karma cannot really be exhausted. It's cyclical in the sense that, you know, even Agami Karma in real time is contributing to that bucket of Sanchita Karma. So, my question is, how does it work for a Jivan Mukta? How, you know, what happens to that Sanchita Karma?
We'll see Jivan Mukta answers in the next class. First, we have to understand this very thoroughly. So I'll answer that in the next class. The whole topic is based Jnana Karma Phala.
Okay, Medhaji. Thank you.
Yes, Anuradha ji.
Question that, you know, if animals don't have free will, right? So they just work on instinct. Now, suppose if I have 100,000 dogs, only some of them must have been humans in their life and they become dogs. Or were they all human beings or something and then they become dogs? And
What
the ones
makes
who,
you-
because they don't have free will, how do animals then go on to another rung of consciousness?
What makes you assume that your dog didn't have a human life previously?
Pardon?
You have made an assumption that your dog didn't have a human life previously, a human birth in the past at some point. Why are you assuming that?
No, I'm not assuming that. I think all my dogs have had human lives and have come to me to exhaust their prarabdha. I'm talking if they are as a species, are all dogs or all horses or all elephants, all
Yes.
other animal species, have they just come to exhaust their prarabdha?
Yes. The purpose of the body is to exhaust prarabdha. Any body, animal, human, anything. The purpose is to exhaust prarabdha. That is why the body is here. And all of these creatures have at some point had human births also. And in the future, they may have human births again also.
Wow.
Yes, we cannot
So
determine.
all these bugs and all also have come under that.
Yes, definitely. There are countless number of jivas. Do you know how many species are there on the planet and how many number of animals of each species are there?
84 lakhs, I believe. Species. Yeah.
And that is just a species. Among human is one species. How many of us are there presently on the planet?
7 billion plus.
7 billion plus. And we have not even counted the insects and worms and all these smaller creatures. And we have not even, this is just planet Earth. Okay. We don't know what else is out there. It is very arrogant of us to assume that we are the only ones here. So we don't know what else is out there. So we cannot say there's nothing there just because we don't know. We don't know. That is the answer. So you multiply all these numbers, and that is just the jivas that are here manifest right now. You think of the past, how many people have come and gone before us, or how many creatures have come and gone before us. And this is only the Vyakta Prapancha, the manifest universe. Think of now Avyakta.
Then another question that comes to my mind is that with the growing population of humans, where are all these humans coming from?
That is what? Avyakta.
It's
Avyakta Maya. You have to go back and revise what is Maya.
Yeah. No, it's just confounding that
it's a number too large for us to even. It is a number and a concept too large for the human mind to even grasp. But that is why we say it is countless. That is why we say Sanchita is that big. It is not a number that is easily graspable like that.
Thank you.
Yes, June.
Neetaji.
Yeah.
So I just, when you were answering the last question, I was wondering, you say that this word is the Vyakta word, the Vyakta universe, but also like Brahma Loka or Swarga Loka, these words are also considered Vyakta.
Yes, Vyakta.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
So when I say we don't know what else is out there, you can take it to mean aliens also, or you can take it to mean the different lokas also. There is a lot more that we don't know. And only within what we know, there is already so much. That is what I was trying to say.
Thank you, Medhaji.
Yes, Anjali?
Oh, Medhaji.
Yes.
I was wondering if there is any connection between Sanchita Karma and Avyakta Maya. Are they same or related?
The Sanchita is stored in the Karana Shariram.
Oh, okay. And Karma also we say, and Avyakta Maya, can we say that it's related to Karana Sharira?
What is the relationship between Karana Shariram and Avyakta Maya?
It is basically unmanifested form only, right?
No.
What is the relationship? What is the relationship between these two? I'm not asking for their similarities. I'm asking what is the relationship? Or let me rephrase. Can we
Shariram
say?
is part of Maya?
Yes.
Can we say there is a relationship between the two?
They are the same.
Yes.
I was thinking they're the same.
Yes, they are as good as being the
As good as
same
being the
because of
same.
the
Yeah.
undifferentiated state. So when you
Yes,
ask what
yes.
is the relationship between Sanchita Karma and Avyakta Maya, and if I answer that Sanchita is stored in Karana Shariram, then you have to understand that Sanchita is actually stored in the undifferentiated form in Avyakta Maya. There's no way to identify the differences between this jiva and that jiva's Sanchita Karma and try to, make out the differences. It's not possible. But in potential form, they are all stored.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Okay, so let us continue now. We have some corollaries of karma to discuss, and I think it will become clearer once we discuss that. So is this clear? The Sanchita, Prarabdha, and Agami, what is their relationship to each other? Okay, so this is the foundation, and this has to become very clear. So just once more, quickly, I will repeat. Sanchita is the whole bunch of karma of a jiva, the huge reservoir. And prarabdha is a tiny portion, tiny piece that has been allocated for this one life. Okay, and agami is the fresh karma you generate in this particular life. And once this body drops, fresh prarabdha karma is allocated for the next life. And in fact, it is this prarabdha karma which determines whether it is a human body or a cockroach body or an elephant body or any other, whatever situation, whatever whatever life has come before us, it is determined by this prarabdha. And where did this prarabdha come from? From Sanchita. Where did Sanchita come from? From previous agamis. Okay, so they are all connected to each other. They are all belonging to the same jiva, and they're all born out of the same jiva's actions. Okay, now let us see some points about the corollary or the law of karma. And once we assimilate the law of karma, it actually gives a lot of peace, and it gives a lot of understanding about life events and world events. So it can make us more peaceful and less turbulent about things happening around us. Okay, the first point is karta eva bhokta. That means karta is the one who does the action, and bhokta is the one who experiences the consequence of that action. So, like I said, there are two things. There is karma and there is karma phalam, right? So karma is the action and karma phalam is the consequence, the result of that action. Now, the one who does karma is called karta. And whenever there is a consequence, somebody has to experience that consequence, right? That person who experiences the consequence of an action is called bhokta. And here the law of karma very clearly states karta eva bhokta. That means the one who does the action, he alone experiences the consequence of that action. In other words, there is nobody else to blame for my experiences. I alone am responsible for whatever I am experiencing in my life right now. It is, so one of the best example is food and hunger. If I am hungry and I eat, who gets full? Who will get full if I eat food?
Naturally me.
Yes, I alone will get full. Suppose I am hungry and somebody else. Sorry?
Okay, I'll ask later. You continue.
Yes. So if somebody else says that I will eat on your behalf, if a mother says, I will eat on behalf of my child, does it work? Will the child's hunger go away?
No.
No. The child alone must eat so that the child's hunger is satisfied. So if I want to feel full, I have to eat. Nobody else can eat on my behalf. So karta eva bhokta. The one who does the action, he alone is the benefactor or the experiencer of that result. Okay. So this has to be
Okay,
very
I
clearly
ask
understood.
Meghaji.
Yes.
It's related to this karta eva bhokta. So that in that example of pushing someone to save from the coming truck, the karta is the one who pushes, but the bhokta is the one who has been pushed.
The bhokta is not the one who has been pushed. Why? Because the karma phalam, what is the adrishta phalam of that pushing?
The intention to save.
But the drishta phalam.
The drishta phalam we'll see later. Tell me first about adrishta.
Okay, yes. Adrishta phalam is dependent on the intent, and the intent in here, if it was to save him, it was.
Okay, so let us say it is a good intention to save that person. So that punyam, that adrishta phalam is basically punyam now. It is a positive result. So who does it belong to? That person or to me?
Yes, that belongs to the karta.
The karta, the one who has pushed. Now we don't know when that punyam will fructify. Right? It might be immediately or it might take some time and come fructify later. So that punyam will come back to this one who has pushed or the one who fell. Whenever it comes, when does it come?
The one who has pushed.
The one who has pushed. So that is what is karta eva bhokta. We should connect this karma phalam, the adrishta karma phalam. Okay, not drishta. Drishta has a different equation. When drishta phalam comes, we have to look at it as the prarabdha of the person who is pushed.
Okay.
So
who
that
has been
person's,
pushed?
yes, that person's prarabdha said or dictated, you can look at it two ways. One is that he will be saved in this situation and he might suffer a small injury. And which is what happened?
Yes.
His fructification of his karma phalam, his prarabdha was this. The agent who brought about this kind of situation was the person who pushed. So that person who pushed is the agent of delivery. Okay,
Yes,
so we
got it.
cannot interchange the karta bhokta relationship or equation. We have to always be clear who is karta and who is bhokta. In the person who pushed, he is the karta of pushing, and the karma phalam of that he will experience later whenever it comes. And the person who was pushed, who fell down, he is the bhokta of his own previous karma, which resulted in him being saved in that situation.
Yes,
Okay?
got it.
So you cannot match this person's karta with that person's bhokta. No, there is nobody else to blame for my actions or for my experiences. If I have done this thing, I alone will experience it at some point of time. And if I am experiencing it right now, it means I have done something in the past as a result of which I am experiencing it now. So the equation always has to be clear. This karta with this bhokta alone. Same karta bhokta. Karta eva bhokta.
Thank you.
Okay. Second point, which I just mentioned, that the present action is responsible for future experience. So take responsibility of your own actions. There is no use blaming God. There is no use blaming the planets. There is no use blaming other people in my life. Why? Because whatever has come before me is a result of my own past actions. So what I have to do, how I have to connect the equation is that the present bhokta, that means me as bhokta right now, the present bhokta has to learn to understand that the one who has determined this situation is the past karta. Me in the past as karta when I have done something and I am experiencing the result of that right now. So like I mentioned, we don't know when it will fructify the results. So whatever I am experiencing now, I have to understand that I myself have created the setup for this at some point in the past. Now, people may say that, okay, I'm suffering now and I never wished for suffering when in the past. In this life, you may not have, but you don't know what you did in the past lives, right? You don't know how you behaved then. You don't know how many such lives were there. So we cannot make the connection of which past life, which past karta, but we have to remember that I have myself created this setup for what I am experiencing. Okay, so this is very important to understand that karta eva bhokta, I am alone responsible for my own situation in life. And this, we have to take responsibility of situations. There is no use blaming anybody else. There is no use, cursing the world. It doesn't help at all. So we have to understand that the law of karma is not a fatalistic law. Fatalistic means that it is a deterministic. That means everything has already been decided and I have to suffer all of that now. No, that is a fatalistic approach, which is not the law of karma. In fact, the law of karma is a remedy for fatalism. Why? Because we are very clearly saying there is something called free will. You have a choice. Every situation has a choice. You just have to exercise that choice in the wisest way possible. Okay, so this is the understanding. We cannot fall prey to fatalism. We cannot say, oh, this is my life. This is fixed now. Oh, there's no hope now. There's no changing things now. No, there is always a choice and you can exercise that choice always. So you have to take responsibility for your present and for your future. Your present, you have to understand that I have created the situation through my past actions. Okay, so the law of karma is not a fatalistic one at all. We have to understand that whatever happens is always an interplay between fate and free will, between agami and prarabdha. And this fate and free will, this some people say, oh, it doesn't work. I tried, but it didn't work. So that what is the result or how does it happen is because sometimes the prarabdha is stronger and sometimes the agami is stronger, and whichever is stronger, that will win. So sometimes they may be opposed. The prarabdha may be something negative. Your agami may be something positive. Now, whichever is stronger, that will win. Sometimes, both are positive. So your prarabdha is also very favorable. And so with little bit of positive effort, you can succeed. You can successfully do that thing. So we don't know what is prarabdha. We only know our agami. We only know that, okay, I am doing this right now. But we don't know what is prarabdha, what it has waiting for us. But you have to remember also that this prarabdha is not something that came from somewhere else. It is your own past actions. So this we have to remember all the time, that what I call prarabdha is not something that Bhagwan threw at me because he hates me or because he loves me. It has come from my own past actions. So this connection between prarabdha and agami always has to be remembered. What I call fate is nothing but my own past actions that has caught up with me now. So there's no point in blaming God and saying God hates me, that is why I am suffering so much. No, you have taken bad decisions in the past and that is why you are suffering now. So you have to take responsibility for your own actions. So the problem is never with God or with the world, but with my wrong equation. So whatever action I do now, I have to understand that it has an effect on my future experiences. So I have to take correct action now, and I have to make sure that I'm taking responsibility so that my future is okay. My future becomes better. So the problem, as I mentioned, is not with God. It's not with the world. But I have a wrong equation. Okay. So that is why I said karta eva bhokta. That is the correct equation. Karta eva bhokta is the correct equation. I have to connect myself as the bhokta with myself as a past karta. But what we do generally, we connect we see a person and we say, oh, he's such a good person, but he's suffering so much. So what have we done? We have connected the current bhokta with the current karta. But that is not the correct equation. You have to connect the current bhokta with a past karta. And this will fix our equation of the world. Many times we see unfair things happening, right? We see a good person and they're suffering so much. And then you see some mafia person and he's having such a lavish, rich lifestyle. And you think, oh, this person is so cruel, he's so bad, but he's enjoying life. And the other person who is working so hard, who is so sincere, and he has such a low job. There is something very unfair with this world. That is what we normally say, right? But that is not the case. This world is the most just thing ever. This law of karma is the highest and ultimate form of justice. But we are seeing the wrong things. We are connecting the wrong things. And that is why we cannot make out. But what we have to connect is not this mafia person who is enjoying the rich lifestyle now. He's enjoying a rich lifestyle, but he's, cruel right now. But we don't know how he was in the past, and we don't know how he will be in the future. So if he's enjoying right now, we have to assume that he has done something good in the past. And that is why he's getting all these comforts now. But now, having seen that he's being a cruel person or a bad person now, then we have to have faith in the law of karma that one day he will suffer for that also. Because the law of karma, nobody can escape from it. Nobody can break the law of karma. So that is why we have to be very alert that if I do something, the consequence will come back to me alone at some point. And whatever I'm experiencing now, it is the consequence of something that I have done in the past. So I have to be alert and I have to work alertly, act alertly. Right now, you have a choice. For example, if we are suffering ill health, then that is a culmination of all kinds of bad lifestyle choices in the past. Some people are born with unhealthy bodies. From birth itself, the babies are little sickly. Then it is a consequence of some previous life, bad lifestyle choices in previous lives, which has caught up with this life. But does that mean it is the end? No. You have to work in this life to maintain your health. You have to work maybe more than other people. You have to work quite hard, but it is possible. Okay, so these are some of the corollaries, and I'll just stop here for some questions, if anything. Yes, those who don't have questions, you please lower the hand so that I can see who wants to ask. Yes, Lata, you have any question or is it from the previous?
Sorry, I lower my hand.
Yeah, okay. Vinita ji?
Om Medhaji, just to share something I read sometime back in the newspaper, which got me thinking on karma. A young man crosses the road to help a blind person go across. He successfully helps her cross. On his return, he's hit by a bus. So this got me thinking about Agami and Prarabdha, which earlier also you have explained that it was his Agami which prompted him to take the action to cross the road. But unfortunately, his Prarabdha got him into getting hit by the bus.
Yes.
So that's the interlinking I thought, which clearly showed, pleasure, pain, punyam, papam, but they're all interlinked about, and we can't just say that why or how it happened, that there are some things which only karma phala data can explain what is
Yes.
there.
So the
That's just what I
equation,
wanted.
yeah, the correct way to understand that situation is that, okay, his present agami, him helping the lady, has generated punyam. And some previous action, which is now prarabdha, is papam. It has manifested as papam,
Right.
as suffering. And that is why he got hit by the bus. But what do people see? They see him crossing the road. They connect that drishta phalam
Yes.
with the immediate drishta phalam of
Yes.
getting hit. It is a wrong equation. You cannot make such
Right.
immediate connections. So that is the problem. The problem,
Right.
if this understanding is sorted,
Right.
then there is no problem at all. When you understand where prarabdha has come from and where agami is going, then there will be no problem at all. You will see that the world is actually very just. It is the most fair, just, best judge in the world. But unfortunately, we use our limited knowledge and limited intellect to try to make these connections, and we trip up and make mistakes, and then we lose faith. So only the
Right.
correct understanding
Right.
will re-emphasize the faith. Yes, Amit ji.
Om Mehari.
Yes.
Mehtaji, my question is that we were talking about like this life we have human life, next life can be of insect or animal. So I'm just trying to understand, like in Gita we studied, I'm not able to recall the verse, that if we are into some spiritual practice, then we always go further onwards. We don't go back. So how do
Yes.
we relate with this?
So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has given a promise that if you are a sincere seeker on the spiritual path and you have put efforts to progress towards moksha, but unfortunately in this life, moksha didn't happen, then Krishna has given a promise that in the next life you will continue the journey. So he assures that you will continue. So this is a assurance for the seekers.
Okay. And Mitaji, my second question is like we were saying that Karma Fal Data allocates prarabdha for next life. So but like in Vedanta, we study that it's only one Brahman. Then who is Karma Fal Data in that case? Who is allocating the karma for prarabdha?
Brahman is Nirguna Ishvara. The Karma Phala Data is Saguna Ishvara.
So is there really somebody like that?
Not in the way that you imagine. It is not a person.
Okay.
But yes, there is an
Okay. Thank you.
intelligence to this creation. There is an order to this creation. And that very intelligence is that Ishvara. That law of karma is itself Ishvara. So to think of him as another person or as somebody with form, somebody sitting somewhere and doing all this, that is not correct. It is the very intelligence that is manifest all around in creation.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, Rinki?
Yes, Medhaji, I have two questions. So while explaining the second corollary, you mentioned that in the interplay between agami and prarabdha, or free will and fate, whichever is stronger will win. Now, I understand that in some cases that might hold true. For example, if I have an exam and I study really hard and my prarabdha says that I will not do well, but if I study really hard, I might be able to negate some of the effects of that prarabdha. However, in most cases, it seems like the two are, like in the current time frame or in the present, the two may not be related. For example, if I'm born with a genetic disorder, no matter what I do as a part of my free will, and there's no cure for it, uh, will the statement still hold true, or it's just that with my free will I can just decide to bear the disease in a better way?
It depends on the strength of the prarabdha. In the case of a genetic incurable disease that happens to some people, it is a prabala prarabdha. We say prabala prarabdha, means very strong prarabdha. Prabala means very mighty, very strong. So means it cannot be overcome just like that with ordinary effort. So it's going to take some very special effort, very superhuman kind of effort, or if just an ordinary effort is put, then you cannot overcome it. So that is, so it still holds true.
Okay. I just have one more question, Medhaji.
Yeah.
So it's based off of what Amit ji asked, and I was thinking about this yesterday also. So between Brahman and say Karma Phal Data, not between. I mean, they're in a way they're the same, in a way they're not. But when we pray for something good to happen to us, like I'm putting in the effort and I'm praying that okay, something good happens to us. Are we basically praying to the more, since Brahman is a karta bhokta, are we praying more to the Maya aspect? I mean, I don't know if I'm able to put across my question well, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. Aren't we praying more to the Maya aspect?
You are praying to Saguna Ishvara. Just a moment. When you pray, you are praying to Saguna Ishvara. So Saguna Ishvara is with body or without body? With Maya or without Maya?
With Maya.
With Maya. Maya is Upadhi. When you talk about Saguna Ishvara, it is much superior entity than the limited body that you have, right? So you are asking Ishvara to use his superior Upadhi for the whatever you are seeking.
Right, right. So whatever happens, the doing of it, right? If something good does come my way from my prayer, that actual doing of it will come not from the Brahman aspect, because Brahman is Akarta, but more from the Maya aspect of
From Saguna Ishvara. We cannot say only Maya, right?
Yeah,
is there
because
such
Maya
a thing
needs
as only Maya?
Brahman to even exist.
Yes.
No, there isn't.
They're inseparable. So we say Saguna Ishvara.
Okay, all right. Understood. Thank you, Medhaji.
Yeah, and just to remind you that praying alone may not work, okay? If you just say, I'm going to pray to pass the exam, but you don't study, it's not going to work. But along with study, if you do prayer, you get that extra boost. That is the idea.
Right, understood. Thank you.
Yes, Indra?
Yes, hi Medha. So these verses are called what? I wanted to ask, these are called, what are these verses called of Tattva Bodha?
Verses? What are you asking?
Are called in Sanskrit. The verses in Tattva Bodha are called?
Okay, I can't remember right now. In English, we call it prose form. It's just basically a sentence form.
But the prose form, we use it for mantras, right? Like verses for shlokas and prose for mantras, right?
Shlokas are what is there in Bhagavad Gita, and mantra is what is there in Upanishad, and Tattva Bodha, there may be a word, but I can't recall it right now. But in English, we call it prose.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I just wanted to say that in that verse, whatever, just wanted to use the Sanskrit word. So the Santi, something, it was there in the verse we started with today, the Trividha Santi. What is mean by Santi?
Santi is English is. When you say there is an apple, that is.
Okay. Because it came twice. It came, I think, after the first whole word, and then at
like
the
how
end.
in English you use the words is and are, A-R-E-R, like that. Next, Deepaji.
Okay.
Yeah, Meghaji. Meghaji, I just wanted to ask one thing. We do karma, good karma, in two ways. One is action with the reaction. Like कोई गिर रहा है, हमने जल्दी से उसको उठा दिया कि चोट ना लग जाए. And one we do it intentionally कि हम ये कर्म करेंगे, so हमको अच्छे फल मिले, हमको भोगना ना पड़े. Is it so?
Some actions are true reflex actions. You don't think about them at all. And those actions that are truly reflex actions, you don't generate any karma phala for that, because for karma phalam to be generated, you have to have an intention. So those actions that you do with some intention in mind, those are the ones that generate the phalam.
Okay.
In the case of somebody falling,
But again, we
it
are
depends.
asking.
How did you really process that fast, or was it a true reflex action? That it's tough to answer.
But again, we are asking something from the God now. We are doing this, don't do this to us. Next birth we'll be a little better, or maybe whatever we are getting, thoda ease out ho jaye.
Yes, you can ask. There's nothing wrong with asking. And when you ask and when you work, there is a very good chance, not a good chance, there is almost a guarantee that it will happen. I think later in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself says that when you ask for something, my hands are tied. I have to helplessly give it to you. So Ishvara, once you ask, he has to give. But when he gives, that we can't say.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Rituji?
So Medhaji, when we use these words, strong prarabdha or weak prarabdha, what exactly do we mean by that?
Okay, I'll give you an example. Suppose, you've joined college or school or something, and at the end of the year, there is a exam. Okay. And on day one, you don't study for it. Like you're supposed to study the whole year so that then you can attend the final year exams, right? Now, suppose day one, you don't study. Does it mean you're going to fail the exam? No, because day one, it's okay. It doesn't matter. Suppose 6 months you don't study at all. Now there's a little stronger chance of failing, right? Now, supposing another 6 months you don't study, there's only 2 days to the exam. Now, what is the prarabdha of failure?
Strong.
Very strong. And who created this situation?
Me, myself.
Yes, that is the understanding. So if, even if suppose 1 month before the exam, there is a strong prarabdha of failing, but still there is time to rectify. If you work really hard, study really hard and say, okay, day and night, I will study now and figure it out, there's still a chance of passing, right?
Yes.
That is strong prarabdha or weak prarabdha. So on day one, if you don't study, it is still a weak prarabdha. You can still pass the exam. But on the last day also, the last night also, you are not studying. It is a very, very strong prarabdha. It is almost impossible to, get past it now, right?
Yes, got it. Thanks.
Medhaji, if I may, sorry to interject, but what if it's in your prarabdha for you to not find the will to study?
See, there is a little bit of vasana influence, but at the same time, there is always free will also. You have to activate the free will, or else, what happens? The suffering happens in life. If you don't find that willpower to study, what will happen? You will suffer later for it. And if you go on suffering and suffering and suffering, at some point you get irritated with it, right? You say, enough of this. Now let me do something, right?
Right.
Some people take more time. They may take years to come up with this. Okay, enough, let me work now. And some people very quickly come up with this. Okay, I'm going to work. But life is designed that it will eventually push you in that direction.
Okay, thank you, Medhaji.
Yes, Lata, this will be the last question, okay?
Hi, Medhaji. So, quick question. You mentioned that reflex actions do not have any karma phala. So, at any given point in time, say for example, for some reason, some argument is happening, someone just hits you, and automatically a reflex action is to hit him back. And at that point in time, you just don't think. So, will that also have a karma phala, or?
See,
I'm not able to understand that.
That is a very quick response. I would not call that a reflex. There is an intent to lash out, right? He hurt me, I have to hurt him back. Intent is there.
Correct.
But it's a very fast thing that happens. So that doesn't make it reflex. A true reflex action is one that happens without any intent.
Yeah. Okay. So if I interrupt here just for a second to improve the understanding, like for example, mother wants to protect the child. Suddenly, my mother sees the child in danger, and she will rush to protect, to safeguard her. That will be a reflex action. That will not generate any karma, isn't it?
No.
That also has an intent.
That has an intent. You yourself mentioned she wants to protect. Protect.
No,
is
that is
intent,
that is an instinct.
It doesn't matter. It's an intent. Sneezing
is an
is a
instinct
reflex.
of the mother to protect, isn't it?
Sneezing is a reflex. Protection is not a reflex. It is a very strong reaction. Agreed. But there is an intent there that I must protect.
Get it. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's a very fast reaction, no doubt, but the intent is there. Therefore, phalam will also be there.
So is it like if a mosquito bites you, your reflex is to just, suppose it's your cheek, to slap yourself on the cheek, but in the process you ended up killing the mosquito. I mean, you didn't intend to, you didn't even know it was a mosquito. So is there no karma phalam there?
There is.
Okay.
Because the intent is, okay, something's hurting me, I must brush that thing, or I must kill that thing. You know, most of the time when it comes to mosquitoes, we are aware on some level. We are all familiar with mosquitoes. You hear the sound and instantly you're like, you go this. It is a habit, but it is a habit with intent. But you have to change that habit. And it is possible when mosquitoes come, if you have a very strong intent that I will not hurt this mosquito, you can. It is very much possible. You know, I'll tell you, when I went to meet SPG, Swamiji, and we were in his room, we were talking to him, and there were so many mosquitoes there. And, you know, all the time we are like this. And Swamiji just sat still. He didn't move at all. He was not at all disturbed. There were many creatures, okay, living in his room somehow. There were some lizards on the wall and things. He was totally undisturbed. He didn't react to any of it. He showed no intent to hurt them or chase them away or anything. He was totally fine with it. So it is possible.
Okay, thank you, Mehdi.
Okay, so let's stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Om Tat Sat. Thank you all. See you next week.
Thank you, Medaji.
Thank you, Medaji.
Thank you, Medaji.
Bye.
Thank you, Medaji.